What is going on, everybody? You have Tone here, and we are here bringing you my PPL D1 Season 6 Week number 5 battle. This week we are taking on Ellie, coach of the Accrington Stantler, and what is going to be our debut match in the PPL. If you guys are excited, I do encourage you to leave a like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Also, feel free to check out the rest of the coaches in the PPL D1 and in D2, as well as the links to the PPL fan server, and everything else will be in the description down below, as well as the team builder where I broke down the team that I am bringing to this matchup. So, if you want to skip over the team builder, just to run down a condensed version of the team that I am bringing, I have a Stealth Rock 3 attacks, mixed defensive Piloswine, a Fizdef Black Sludge, Will-O-Wisp Pain Split 2 attacks Wheezing. I have a Choice Specs Greninja, a Rock Polish 3 attacks Weakness Policy Necrozma, a Morning Sun 3 attacks Life Orb Rapidash, and a Taunt 3 attacks Farium Z Tapu Koko. And my opponent Ellie has decided to bring her Raikou, Victini, Tenta-Cruel, the Granbull, Doublade, and the Mamoswine. So I did get, for the most part, 5 of the 6 mons right. A little bit surprised that she didn't bring the Mega Latios, but I can understand, just for the sense that she does fear like my Tapu Koko is being faster and whatnot, and Dazzling Gleam can be a huge problem for her Mega Latios, so quite understandable. So in terms of the lead matchup for me, at the very least, I figured leading off with my Piloswine would be my best bet, just because I have a good match. My Piloswine matches up against pretty much half her team at the very least. It matches up well against the Raikou, the Victini, the Tenta-Cruel, not the Tenta-Cruel, but it can live with Skull, and I don't get burned. Earthquake can do a lot. Her entire team is grounded too, so Earthquake is looking very, very spammable against her team. Also, at the very least, Necrozma actually can put in a ton of work if I actually get my plan to go into fruition, in which I get up a Rock Polish, go for get my Weakness Policy activated, and at +2 it actually just nukes everything with the combination of Photon Geyser plus Dark Pulse. I don't even need to click Heat Wave because Heat Wave was mainly just there for Skarmory and the like. But in any case, you're going to see how the battle turned out and see if we can pick up our first win in our PPL debut. So without further ado, let us go into the battle and see how we did. So, with that being said, we're going to be challenged by Pokemon Trainer Ellie. Have fun. So, we're going to lead off with Old Major, the Piloswine here. I already said my objective was to get up rocks as soon as possible. And she's going to lead off with Horse, her Raikou. So, this is a perfect lead for me. I get to click Earthquake or get up my rocks turn 1 and really wear down her team in that facet. So he's going to make the switch out of her Raikou and go directly into her Granbull here, just to get the Intimidate off, weaken the power of my Earthquake. But I'm not that attack invested in my Piloswine, just running a little bit for the Victini, but just want to decide to get up my rocks turn 1, really put the pressure on her team, force Tenta-Cruel to come in and Rapid Spin later. So I'm going to make the safe switch out into my Wheezing here on this Granbull, expecting her to go for a Play Rough here. And she decides to reveal a Super Fang, so a very solid prep on her part, bringing Super Fang to really whittle down my physical walls. I especially need this for switching into the Mamoswine. So I'm going to go for the Pain Split here, expecting her to switch out, fearing a Sludge Bomb. As she does go out into the Tenta-Cruel here and take the Stealth Rock damage, I'm going to go for the Pain Split. It gets some health back. It isn't much, but it does give me back to about 80% after Black Sludge recovery. And I believe at this, after the Black Sludge taken into effect, I believe I go hard into my Greninja, if I recall correctly, because I figured she would want to fire off a Scald here, but she is actually going to go for her Toxic Spikes. So this is going to be a very, very tough battle now, because now she has Toxic Spikes up. I have no way of getting rid of them because I do not have Defog on my Koko. I did not bring no removal whatsoever, so I'm going to go for a Specs Dark Pulse here. Did a good chunk area. She reveals a Dazzling Gleam here, so we're going to 2-hit KO my Greninja fairly easily. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to switch out my Greninja here because I don't want this thing Its Tenta-Cruel is not in range of another Specs Dark Pulse, so I'll make the switch out into I'm gonna go hard into Tapu Koko here, just to take the next Dazzling Gleam. It's not my most optimal play, but I didn't want to go hard into Rapidash here. She actually goes for the knockoff, which suits me perfectly fine, because what this means is I take a little bit less damage, expecting her to go for another Dazzling Gleam here. So I've already seen 3 of her moves here, so she either does not have Stab like Sludge Bomb, or she doesn't have Scald or Rapid Spin. So she makes the play out into her Raikou. I want to predict that and go for the U-turn. As she does exert her pressure, I'm going to go for the U-turn here, expecting the Raikou to come out, because if we missed my team builder, I did expect this Raikou to come and be Assault Vest just to take on this Tapu Koko. So now I'm going to make the U-turn out into my Piloswine here, as I'm going to get poisoned from the Toxic Spikes. But because I have my rocks up and this Raikou is in a very, very tough position here, I get to fire off a free Earthquake no problem, as he's going to switch out her Raikou and go back out into her Grand Ball here. Get the Intimidate off. She's going to take the rocks damage. And I'm just going to fire up an Earthquake here, because it's a no drawback play, even though I'm at -1 attack. So we go for the Earthquake here, and you're going to see about that damage. Does a good amount, but it's looking more like a mostly physically defensive Grand Ball with some attacking investment, I want to say. Just because that did a little bit more than I expected, especially since I'm -1. So I want to make the play go back into my Weezing, expecting her to go for like a Earthquake or a Play Rough here. So she goes to go for the Play Rough here. I'm not going to do much to my Weezing because it is resisted. Get some Black Sludge recovery back, and I believe this turn, after the Leftovers recovery goes off on the Grand Bull, I believe I go for the Will-O-Wisp here, as she does go out and go back out into her Tenta-Cruel. I could have predicted this and gone on to Koko, but I didn't want to make that aggressive play so early. But we do unfortunately miss the Will-O-Wisp, which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of the battle here. So as the Electric Terrain is now going to disappear, and I'm going to fire up another Will-O-Wisp, I think, and I believe... Alright, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead now. So I make the play go back into Greninja. Expecting her to reveal Scald at some point in the game, but she goes for the Sludge Bomb here, which is not going to take me out, but unfortunately my Greninja is going to drop to the poison damage, so my Greninja is going to go down super early in this game, which is very unfortunate. So that gives 1 kill for the Tenta-Cruel, but that's going to be a free switch out into the Tapu Koko. And I believe at this point, I believe I will for another U-turn, expecting her to switch out, but she actually decides to stay in, expecting me to pivot out and make this play. Makes me a U-turn out. So I go into my Weezing again, and I believe she went for another layer of Toxic Spikes. Oh, she went for a knockoff, I'm sorry. She went for a knockoff here. I was really contemplating this one turn, because if I went hard into Cross Mode this turn and she got the knockoff, I would have potentially had a chance to win, but it's kind of hard to say because most of her team was at full health. So she does go for her second layer of T-Spikes, and I go for the Will-O-Wisp this turn. We do connect, so this the Will-O-Wisp will be canceling out the Black Sludge recovery, which is nice, as I don't have any other way of dealing any damage with this Weezing to the Tenta-Cruel. So I believe I'm going to make the switch out and go hard into my Rapidash, I believe. Yeah, I go hard Rapidash because I've seen her entire moveset. She doesn't have Scald. She doesn't have Rapid Spin. So it was pretty much like a ballsy play. She goes for the Sludge Bomb here. She's not going to take me out, but it's going to do a good chunk of damage, especially considering that she got up 2 layers of Toxic Spikes on my side of the field, and I have no way of getting rid of them. So I believe this turn I just go for a high horsepower, because I didn't want to make the safe play. I get damage off on everything. As she goes out into the Grand Bull here, and she get the Intimidate off. I'm at -1. I go for the high horsepower, and as you're going to see, I am not going to do that much damage because my attack did get lower. I get some life for recoil and whatnot. So instead of me trying to preserve my Rapidash, because I was mainly just here for 2 reasons, being the Victini and the Mega Latios, I'm just going to fire off a Flare Blitz here, try to get as much damage off as I can on this Granbull, and this Granbull is actually going to live on a sliver of health. And she does go for the Heal Bell, so the burn is gone on the Tenta-Cruel, and unfortunately my Rapidash is now going to drop to the Toxic Spikes damage. So these T-Spikes are really doing me dirty early on in this game, as this gives Tenta-Cruel a second kill. But it does allow me to go out into my Weezing and revenge kill the Granbull, because I know I am faster. So I'm just going to fire off a Sludge Bomb here, no drawback play, as the Granbull is going to go down here. So Weezing is going to pick up the first kill of the game for us, but it does give her a free switch into her Victini, because my Rapidash is gone. She can just fire off V-Creates and Blue Flares infinite for as much as she wants. So she goes for the Blue Flare here. I decided not to go hard into my Piloswine because I knew my Piloswine could take one hit from the range of HP it was at, which is still a pretty good amount of health. So a thing that we actually, that she actually did not notice, and I didn't notice it either, was she actually forgot her item on the Victini. So she meant to be Firium Z, but this benefits me because even if she was Firium Z's, Blue Flare from Z Blue Flare would not have killed my Piloswine without a crit. So I get to take out the Victini with the Earthquake, but she does get to go out into her Doublade, and she gets to revenge kill me with the Shadow Sneak. No, she goes for Swords Dance first. Now I remember. Because Shadow Sneak would not have killed my Piloswine, so let's go fire off an Earthquake just to get some damage off on this Doublade. Now she goes for the SD here, gets the +2, and now after the poison damage, I am definitely going to be in range of a Shadow Sneak from the Doublade, so I didn't even bother going for Ice Shard here in case she wanted to get greedy and go for another SD. I just decided to go for click Earthquake because Ice Shard wasn't going to do any damage whatsoever. So now I'm going to go out into my Necrozma here, and I'm just going to click Dark Pulse because it's a no drawback play. Don't want to risk Heat Wave missing, and it's already in range to where Dark Pulse will take it out. So I'm going to fire off the Dark Pulse here, and we are going to indeed take out the Doublade. And so we're trying to bring it back here. It's 2v3, but the toxic damage is racking up tremendously. Now she gets to go out into her Mamoswine here, and I am going to so I'm going to pause it right here, and this is kind of the play that was going on in my head. So what I was thinking at this point in the battle was, okay, if she Scarf Mamoswine, she 2 KOs me with Earthquake. So I figured, okay, I can Rock Polish this turn, and if she is indeed Scarf Mamoswine, the next turn I outspeed her, I go for Photon Geyser, get some damage off, and put it into a position where my Coco could potentially win. But there was 2 problems with that. One, I'm not a fully offensive Necrozma, so Photon Geyser isn't going to be doing much. 1. 2, even if she was Scarf, the play was 100% to click Photon Geyser, because I need damage on this Mamoswine to at least have a chance to put it in range of to where Dazzling Gleam from my Coco would kill the Mamoswine. So that was my thought process when I made this turn. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go for Rock Polish and thinking she's Scarf, but unfortunately she's not Scarf. I go for Rock Polish here, and she is going to fire off an Earthquake here, and you're going to see that this is going to do a crap ton of damage, to the point where I actually get nothing out of this turn. I'm actually getting nothing out of this with Necrozma, because she now goes for Ice Shard. I see she's Life Orb now, and I'm like, yep, I just lost the game now because I didn't get damage off on this Mamoswine at all. And now I'm pretty much forced to fire off my Z move here because regular Dazzling Gleam won't take out the Mamoswine from this range. So she's going to make the switch. She's going to go out into her Raikou here because it is her dedicated response to my Tapu Koko here. So after she takes the rocks damage and exerts her pressure, we're going to fire off the Z Twinkle attack, the Z Dazzling Gleam, and just go from there. And I know because it's a Assault Vest, it definitely won't kill the Raikou, but at least it will put it into range where the next Dazzling Gleam will definitely take out this Raikou. So you see the animation go off. We're going to shake it to the left and the right, and we're going to blow the Raikou almost away. So it's going to survive on like a good 5%, but we are able to take out the Raikou with the next Dazzling Gleam because nothing really else to lose there. So the Raikou is going to go down here. So he's trying to bring it back here, but the poison is going to eventually rack up, and I believe at this point I'm in range of Mamoswine's Ice Shard, but she's going to make a very smart play, go to Tenta-Cruel to bait me into clicking Thunderbolt as she makes the double into her Mamoswine. If I click Dazzling Gleam this turn, like, this play was so freaking ridiculously obvious, and I'm kicking myself now because I fell for it. And even more so was the fact that I fell for it again when she doubled back into Tenta-Cruel, expecting me to Dazzling Gleam this turn. So now I am definitely going to lose this battle either to this Mamoswine or to the Tenta-Cruel, because as you're going to see, I'm going to make the over prediction here and click Dazzling Gleam, expecting her to double back into Mamoswine, but she stays in this turn. I don't kill it with Dazzling Gleam, and the Tenta-Cruel is going to kill my Koko with the Sludge Bomb, and that unfortunately is going to be good game to Ellie, as we are going to drop our first game in the PPL 2-0 to Ellie and her Accrington Stantler. So first and foremost, good game to Ellie. She played that end game phenomenally with the doubles between her Mamoswine and her Tenta-Cruel, keeping it around long enough to the point where even if I took out the Tenta-Cruel that turn with the Thunderbolt, I was already in range to where Mamoswine would just click Ice Shard and I would lose the game, either 1-0 or 2-0 like it happened here. So I knew another component in this battle would be how much of a problem Toxic Spikes was going to be, just because of the fact that my removal doesn't really give me the best. I don't have the best removal on this draft whatsoever, and even more so the fact that I don't have a grounded poison type to absorb those Toxic Spikes. So really, there's nothing really much I could do about that. I probably could have brought Defog on top of Koko, but it was kind of a judgment call, because at the very least I didn't want to have my Piloswine keep switching in and out like I wanted to, with trying to get up, waste a turn getting up rocks. So at that point I feel like Taunt was the better option, but at the very least she would not risk Tenta-Cruel staying in on Koko in that sort of situation, and she already got the benefit of the doubt twice, as she pretty much the Tenta-Cruel stunted on my Koko twice in one battle, which is kind of interesting to say, especially considering I had essentially two chances to kill off the Tenta-Cruel early on in the match, but I chose not to. I decided to get a little bit cheeky with my doubling and whatnot, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain. I'm more happy with the fact that, for one, the battle wasn't haxy whatsoever. Like, outside of Will-O-Wisp miss, which didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, I am very, very happy overall with the result of the battle. I definitely gonna play that end game a lot better. Me playing my Necrozma the way I did, me not getting damage on the Mamoswine really actually just lost me all momentum in that game. Like, I still had a chance, but just me not trying to damage the Mamoswine did do me in the end, and the Toxic Spikes did not help out at all either. So nonetheless, good game to Ellie. I'm not gonna lie, this was a very, very fun battle despite the outcome for me. This team's a lot more offensive than I'm accustomed to using, but at the same time, it's a learning curve. It's not really a team. It's a team I inherited, so can't really do much about that. But nonetheless, that's going to be it for week number 5. We are going to take the loss. We are now 2-3 with a -4 differential, if I recall correctly. And it doesn't get any easier, as week 6 we will be taking on Kyle, aka K to the 2, coach of the Harlem Gloomtrotters, and his very scary offensive team. Also, one last thing to take into account, I did say that I did make changes to this team prior, going into effect starting in week number 6. So, not to go into too much detail, I did drop 5 Pokemon. So, I dropped Serena, I dropped Piloswine, I dropped Weezing, I dropped Rapidash, and I dropped Klinklang. And in exchange, I picked up Ferrothorn. I really wanted to have that bulky Steel type, and having something that gives me Spikes, Stealth Rock, the overall utility all in one, and I absolutely love Ferrothorn. I'm so happy that Caltrops is back on my squad. The next thing I wanted to address is getting some better hazard removal. So with that being said, I did pick up Gligar, just so I have another Defogger. I have some options with Momentum with U-Turn, another Stealth Rocker, can't go wrong with that. And the most important thing I picked up was having a Toxic Spikes Absorber. This game and the previous game which Ethan played just goes to show you how weak this team is to Toxic Spikes. So, with that, my last Pokemon, I picked up Drapion, just to have that T-Spike Absorber, T-Spike Setter to go along with Greninja. So I have multiple options for hazards, which is nice to complement the rest of my offense. But that's pretty much going to be it. We're going to be running with those a 9-mon roster heading into week 6. I hope you guys did enjoy the battle. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Check out the rest of the coaches in the PPL. Also check out my opponent, Ellie. I'm pretty sure she'll have her side of the battle up when she can. And that's pretty much going to be it from me, guys. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. And until the next time, guys, this is Tone, signing off for now. Peace out.